Hey guys, welcome to another session with your favorite therapist, Talk to Mac. My name is Mac Stanley because I am a licensed mental health counselor and a certified government therapist. I hold a specialization in couples therapy, and infidelity recovery tends to be one of the things that I'm most known for and most requested for. So for this video, I posted a question box in my stories and I asked people to give me any questions that they have in regards to infidelity. And believe it or not, you guys flooded my DMs. I think this is the most interaction I've had in my stories in a very long time. I've compiled at least 200 questions, and there's no way that I can answer 200 questions on this format, but I will do my best to get to the top 10 because many of them repeated themselves. So with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, drop a comment, share this with one of your friends. Also, let me know if you like this setup a little bit better than we did last time. I'm using one camera angle versus two camera angles. And I've introduced the podcast mic to kind of make it feel like I'm on a podcast. Maybe this will become a podcast. I don't know. I'm figuring this out with you guys in real time. So let's get right into the video. Let's start with question 1. I kind of saw the questions and I kind of jotted a few things on my board that you guys cannot see, but I'll be doing this mainly from the dome. I'm gonna skip that one because I know you, so I'm not even going to answer. Question 1, what are the signs to look for that indicate that your partner may be partaking in a potential affair? Basically, what are the signs to look for that your partner may be cheating, having an affair, or engaging in infidelity? I think that's one of the top 2 questions that I get the most in regards to infidelity. Like, Mac, what are the signs? And it's hard to answer because what the signs might be for one person may be very different for the next person, but there are some that overlap. So example, it might be a change in routine, the way that they groom themselves, the way that they dress, the way that they behave, the time of day they leave, come back, gym time. Like, if their routine starts to look different, then it might indicate that there's something there. Secretive behavior, when they're using their phone, they're using it in secrets, especially phone calls. They may not answer some phone calls in front of you. They may walk outside to answer some phone calls. There's some new names or some contacts that you're seeing them and engaging with, or they're just being secretive about a number of things, right? All of a sudden they have guy nights or poker nights and you're not invited or you can't have access to. Like, there's a lot of different things that could qualify as secretive behavior. We also have emotional distance, and I also add in emotional closeness. So emotional distance, they start to create distance from the relationship as a way to rationalize the reason why they're having this affair. Or it might be they get emotionally closer to you because they have their needs being met outside of the relationship. So this need is no longer a symptom of contention in the relationship. So now they're like the perfect partner because there's nothing to argue about because that need of mine is being addressed elsewhere. So there's that part too. Unexplained guilt, right? If you start feeling that they're acting guilty or they're moving different out of guilt, and you could kind of tell just based on their disposition, their actions, their behavior, and the way that they present themselves. Like, you kind of picked up on where is all of this coming from. And I would just say that the main thing is not to look for specific behavior, but to look for a series of pattern, right? If many of these things are showing up at the same time over time, then that pattern might indicate red flag, infidelity may be taking place at the moment. So I hope that was a good enough answer. Now we're gonna go to question number 2. Let's go with this one. Why do people cheat? That one of the most frequently asked questions. Why do people cheat? Mac, why do people cheat? Great question, right? So the research states that 70% of the time someone is cheating because there's an emotional need that's not being met in the relationship. Now, what are those emotional needs? I would say the top 3 are seeking validation, feeling like what they are saying matters, that their feelings matter in the relationship, and that they're being seen and understood, as if their voice really counts. and they have a say into how things go, especially when they're sharing their emotions as what's not working for them and it's being heard. I would say that's more common for a lot of men where they feel like they don't have a voice. They're not able to be emotional and vulnerable. So this kind of move them away from the relationship to seek that safe and brave space to communicate elsewhere. The second one would be seeking reassurance and attention, right? Maybe your partner's work-to-life balance sucks. They work a lot more. They're not as present in the home or in the relationship as you would like. And you keep asking for their attention and time with them, and that's just not being met. So eventually you find it elsewhere, because now you're spending more time outside, spending more time in the gym, you're spending more time at home on your phone, which makes you susceptible to other connections. And third, and one of the most common one, is to escape conflict. In their primary relationship, there just are a culture of conflict and argument and nastiness and toxicity. So they try to avoid it. So they don't want to come home as much as they used to. They don't want to engage in conversation in fear that it's going to turn into conflict, which then kind of pushes them away from the relationship into somebody else's ears or seeking that peace elsewhere, right? But overall, I would say infidelity is a symptom of a bigger dissatisfaction, either in the relationship that we just discussed or within themselves. You would find that a lot of people might feel inadequate or might feel not worthy of certain things. So they self-sabotage by engaging in infidelity or affairs as a way to kind of validate that hypothesis and that narrative that they have of themselves. I'm not good enough to be loved. So instead of saying that and addressing that and facing that, I'm gonna go and fuck it up. So that's basically what happens. But why do people cheat? People cheat because they want to, because at the end of the day, you're making a decision. You can choose to walk away. You can choose to get divorced. You can choose to have a conversation with your partner. You can choose to inform them that you've made a connection that might get physical or emotional. Like, there's a number of things that you could do prior to cheating, but you did it because you wanted to. So let's also not forget that part. Sounds good? Okay. Number 3, the next one. Ooh, that's a good one. Is emotional cheating a thing? If so, what is the criteria? What is emotional cheating? Emotional cheating is basically someone that is forming deep and intimate connections with others outside of their relationship. And you know it's a problem if you feel the need to hide those connections or downplay the significance and the value of them to your partner, or even hide it altogether. So now your partner has no idea that there's somebody else that you're talking to in that level. So the things that you used to share with your partner, how you used to let them in and seek that reassurance or give them that transparency of what's going on in your life or what's going on with you. Now you've kind of moved that away and doing that with somebody else. Now you're robbing your partner of that experience. Now you're giving it to somebody else, and now you guys are becoming connected on that level. The way to look at cheating in general and to determine what that is, Shirley Glass, which is a psychologist, had one of the most fascinating and most used visual of what infidelity looks like. So basically, when you're in a relationship, it's you and your partner standing next to each other with a wall around you guys and a window to the outside world. Now, when you start breaking down that wall of you and your partner and you open it up to somebody else, and the wall then becomes between you and your partner, that's when cheating, that's what qualifies as cheating. Your partner has a window to you, doesn't have complete access to you because there is a wall in between you guys, like you're doing things that they're not aware of, and somebody else is getting all of that access. That's the best way to simply put it. Hope that answers your question. Number 4, what are some clear signs to indicate it's time to end a relationship after infidelity? I love that. I love that question. How do you know it's time to walk away after infidelity has occurred? Great question. I would say rebuilding trust feels impossible, right? You've asked for access, you've asked for reassurance, you've put up some boundaries in order for you to rebuild back trust, but that person is not playing ball with you. They're not willing to do the time, even though they committed the crime. So to me, part of recovery is giving your partner the access and the reassurance that they need in order to feel safe to rebuild back trust. So when you remove that, and a lot of times it sounds like, well, why is it taking so long? Well, like, you should have access to my phone. You either trust me or you don't. Well, I don't trust you, but I am willing to learn how to trust you again, but you gotta give me what I need in order for me to feel comfortable and secure to ensure that this is no longer happening. So whenever the person that cheated is unwilling to accommodate to the person that was cheated on, that's a good time to walk away, because they're not taking accountability for what they did and they're not working with you to help you overcome. So to me, that's a sign to leave. I would also say when your safety feel compromised in terms of physical and emotional, right? Like when maybe you could have gotten an STD because they were not using protection. They've kind of shared a lot of things about you to that partner, and you feel like the affair partner knows a lot more about you than you know about them. Maybe your work is no longer safe because they could show up, or whatever the case may be. The minute it comes to your emotional and your physical safety, then it's time to walk away. I would also say when one or both partners is refusing to do the work. Yeah, because infidelity in itself is a very traumatic experience, and it takes a lot of work to overcome that and to rebuild back that trust. So if one of you guys don't want to do the work and act like it never happened, or just push it under the rug, then it's time to walk away. That's what I would say. Next question. Guys, you guys are doing incredible. This is amazing. I might have to do a part 2. This is excellent. I love these type of questions. I love talking about this topic. Should or does engaging in online affairs such as OnlyFans count as cheating? The OnlyFans count as cheating. To me, that differs from couple to couple, from people to people, from individual to individual, from marriage to marriages, right? Because a lot of people would say that pornography in general is a form of infidelity and they consider that cheating. Some might say that access to free pornography is not cheating, but going on OnlyFans and subscribing and the ability to message, and it's much more an intimate experience, might count as infidelity. To me, professionally speaking, I would say in anything that is that violates the bounds and the boundaries of your relationship is a form of cheating. So if you guys are talked and both decided that online activities such as OnlyFans is a form of cheating, then that's what it is. But if one person is saying, well, that's cheating, and the other person may not agree, and you guys are not in alignment of what cheating and infidelity looks like, then it kind of makes things a little bit more complicated than you would say. So is OnlyFans a form of cheating? I would say that it depends on your relationship. It depends on you and your partner's boundaries that are put in place. So that's the best answer that I could give. Let's see, let's do one more question and I'm gonna end this because my camera's about to die. Normal, still working on making these things better. Why do married men with kids cheat and then stay? Why do married men with kids cheat and then stay? For a lot of reasons. Infidelity is an escape, but they're not looking for an exit. Again, they're looking for an escape. They're not looking for an exit. They may also feel a lot of shame and guilt about walking away from their families and from their children. They may have always wanted to kind of raise their kids in a two-parent household, right? And they don't want to be the one that break that up. So there's a lot of shame and guilt there. They don't want to lose their family. Believe it or not, when affairs are discovered, many of the men tend to prefer to work on their relationship and stay with their family as opposed to leaving their primary partner for the affair partner. So there's that too. And I would just say with men in general that many of us do not possess the skills or the tools to really communicate what's happening for us in our relationship and what we need. So therefore we resort to infidelity or to affairs. And also a lot of times when we voice the things that we need and the things that we want, it's not being heard or prioritized, and that leads us to being susceptible to other connections outside of the relationship. With that being said, I hope I did an excellent job of answering you guys' questions. I'll definitely be doing a part 2 to this because there's a lot more questions. So I thank you guys again. Make sure to like, subscribe, drop a comment. It has been a pleasure. Until the next video, talk to Mac out.